Get the unmissable news stories of the day.
This is the Beijing Hour.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday, June 15th, 2026. You're listening to the Beijing Hour, coming to you live from the Chinese capital. On today's program, the U.S. and Iran have confirmed reaching an agreement to end their conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The president of Myanmar is in Beijing for a state visit that'll run until Friday. The number of confirmed Ebola cases in the DRC is now over 780, with 170 deaths. In business, China's rolling out a 3-year action plan for saving energy and lowering carbon emissions. In sports, Germany's off to a powerful start at the World Cup. In culture and entertainment, cross-strait cooperation in film and TV. And now the day's top stories. U.S. and Iranian officials have confirmed an agreement on a framework to end the war, halt the U.S. blockade on Iranian ports, and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also announced the deal, saying the U.S. and Iran will sign it in Switzerland on Friday. Ahsan Kevani reports.
Finally, the long marathon of negotiations seems to be over, according to an informed Iranian source. In the last few days and even hours of negotiations on the text of the MOU, some changes were made to the previous text. Issues related to the management of the Strait of Hormuz and the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Lebanon were the two issues among the last changes, in fact, made in the text. Here is how the Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Gharibabadi confirmed the finalization of the MOU.
For now, the text of the Memorandum of Understanding has been finalized. The formal signing of the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding by the principal parties is scheduled to take place on Friday, with Switzerland being considered as the venue. 2 immediate developments were supposed to take place. First, the immediate and permanent end of the war and military operations on various fronts, including in Lebanon. The second development was the lifting and end of the naval blockade that the United States had imposed on the Islamic Republic of Iran, which was also announced by the U.S. President in his statement.
So we see Lebanon and specifically Hezbollah is crucially important to Iran. Any future Israeli attacks on Hezbollah infrastructure could seriously jeopardize this MOU or any future peace deals between Iran and the U.S. Iran's parliament is seriously seeking to pass a law based on which Iran, with coordination of Oman, can implement a new transit regime for the strait. But there are a number of obstacles. First of all, Oman seems to be unwilling to take part in this plan. Second, charging vessels will create international dissatisfaction, especially among the Persian Gulf countries. So from what we hear in Iran, Tehran is now seeking to control the strait rather than earning money. After all, Tehran is considering the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage in the future so that if other parties do not fulfill their commitments in this MOU or any future peace deal, closure of the strait would be an option for Tehran again.
That was Ahsan Kevani reporting. U.S. President Donald Trump says he's authorized an end to the U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz. He also criticized an Israeli strike on Lebanon, saying it should not have happened. Hendrik Sybrandy has more.
A lot of questions still remain about what exactly the two sides have agreed to. I want to read from President Trump's statement, which he issued just a couple of hours ago. He said the deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Congratulations to all. I hereby authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz and simultaneously herewith authorize the immediate removal of the U.S. naval blockade. Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow, President Donald J. Trump. Well, you heard in that statement, he talked about the toll-free reopening of the strait. I'm not sure that's exactly what's going to end up happening. I think that's one of the many questions that are still up in the air here. Will Iran agree to a toll-free reopening of the strait to potentially derail this memorandum of understanding? So there are still things that have to be certainly have to be worked out down the line. This is an MOU with the U.S. Iran says this was accomplished after months of long and difficult negotiations. There is some cautious skepticism, I guess you could say, at least from one Republican here in the United States, Senator Lindsey Graham, who's been a hawk on Iran, has been a very hard line in terms of how the U.S. should react to Iran. He said he's pleased that the hostilities may be ending, but he has a lot of concerns about what's going to happen after that. So I think that's really the tenor and the tone of people here in the U.S. right now, is that we want to hear more about what exactly has been agreed upon and what some of the steps are that will lead to these 60 days of negotiations.
That was Hendrik Sybrandy reporting. U.S. President Donald Trump has called on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to sabotage the U.S.-Iran agreement. Tehran's insisted that any deal must include an end to hostilities on all fronts, including Lebanon. Jonathan Regev has more from Tel Aviv.
So Israeli officials, Netanyahu included, are currently not saying anything about the agreement. Now, this is quite rare for Israeli officials, who are usually very quick to run to the media or social media to post their opinions about everything. This time, complete quiet. It is most probably due to a direct order from the Prime Minister. There was a security cabinet last night speaking mostly about the deal with Iran and the implications for Lebanon. During the security meeting, there was a call from President Trump to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. As far as we've heard from American officials, it was once again a very angry call. Trump saying that Israel should not do anything that could put this MOU in danger. And ever since, at least on record, Israeli officials are quiet. Off record, of course, we're hearing plenty of criticism. Israel clearly concerned about this MOU and the effects that it could bring with it. So while most of the world is looking at economical aspects and what it may mean for the Straits of Hormuz, Israelis are looking first and foremost for what this could lead to in Lebanon. As far as at least the Iranians are saying, the Memorandum of Understanding calls for the complete cessation of hostilities in Lebanon. It means that Israel cannot, under this agreement, act against Hezbollah, and this time not only in Beirut, but in the entire Lebanese territory, all over Lebanon. And we do not know exactly what the agreement says, but it may also call for an Israeli withdrawal from all of the areas that it controls in Lebanon, something that Defense Minister Israel Katz said over the weekend that Israel will not do.
That was Jonathan Regev reporting. China has welcomed the agreement between the U.S. and Iran to end the conflict and expressed hope that the deal would be signed as planned. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian says China also appreciates Pakistan's mediation efforts. He says China hopes that safe and free passage through the Strait of Hormuz can resume as soon as possible, and that the country is ready to maintain communication with regional countries and the international community. The UK, France, Germany, and Italy have welcomed the Memorandum of Understanding between the U.S. and Iran. In a joint statement, the four European countries urged the implementation of that MOU. They reiterated Iran must never acquire a nuclear weapon and are prepared to lift sanctions on Iran if it ensures this. French President Emmanuel Macron says the G7 will discuss the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says toll-free freedom of navigation must be restored. The Qatari Prime Minister, who helped mediate talks between the U.S. and Iran, expressed hope for positive and constructive engagement in the coming negotiations. Meanwhile, some residents in the U.S. and Israel have expressed skepticism about the agreement between the U.S. and Iran to end the conflict.
I hope that this is a real, sincere peace plan, because we've seen many times, maybe 5 or 6 different times, that Donald Trump, our president, has stated that there is going to be peace between the United States and Iran. I hope and I pray that this happens.
I'm always worried that someone will change their mind or something will happen to negate the peace deal. The price of gas affects so many things. The price of living depends on the price of gas, and in the long term, those things are worrying.
It's not predictable at all. Trump goes to sleep at night, wakes up in the morning, makes a decision, and wants to implement it. I doubt America will remain committed to the agreement.
Those were some of the reactions of the U.S.-Iran deal to end the conflict. And for more on the Memorandum of Understanding, Sapir Saremi spoke with Hlaing Bourajirdi, a member of the National Security Commission of the Iranian Consultative Assembly. The official says they're willing to proceed, provided that the interests of the Islamic Republic are secured.
I believe there are some in our country who oppose this. However, the U.S. urgently needs this. Trump, due to the upcoming elections and the need for peace during the World Cup, is also interested. Therefore, we are willing to proceed, provided that the interests of the Islamic Republic are secured.
Do you think that Iran might negotiate its ballistic missile program?
Regardless of the circumstances, Iran's missile capabilities are non-negotiable. This is our red line. This is an unchangeable principle. We in the parliament insist on this, and we will not permit the government to negotiate it, nor will our armed forces. The government shares the same view. There is a complete consensus on this matter.
Regarding Iran's nuclear program, specifically, what do you think will happen to Iran's 400 kilos of highly enriched uranium?
First of all, it will not leave Iran, nor will it be transferred. This is a red line. Why are they so sensitive about the 400 kilograms? They claim that since the enrichment level is 60%, there is no need for it. The maximum concession we are offering is to dilute it for our own needs. For instance, diluting it to 20% for the Tehran research reactor, based on domestic requirements. Therefore, the claim made by Trump and his propaganda tools that it will be transferred is baseless. It will not be transferred anywhere outside of Iran's borders.
That was Hlaing Bourajirdi, a member of the National Security Commission of the Iranian Consultative Assembly. A Chinese analyst says challenges remain ahead for the U.S. and Iran to achieve long-term peace. Middle East expert Aung says the Memorandum of Understanding can be understood as a guarantee for a long-term ceasefire, but reaching long-term peace remains difficult.
This kind of MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, is a very important guarantee for the ceasefire. So it's actually, it per se is very meaningful. It is very important. But then when we come to the next phase, with the phase of about 60 days, or maybe it could be further prolonged, the negotiation, we mean that we will encounter a lot of difficulties, a lot of divisions, particularly over how the status of Hormuz Strait should be maintained, and how the Iran nuclear issue should be settled, and how the higher level of uranium should be kept or should be diluted, and whether it should be transferred to external powers or should be kept inside Iran under the monitor of United States or maybe other international organizations.
That was Middle East expert Aung. Coming up, the president of Myanmar is in Beijing for a state visit to China.
Discover the realities and responses to our changing climate with Climate Watch. Uncover critical issues such as the Masai Mara's disrupted wildebeest migration and the drop in the Panama Canal's water levels. Delve into solutions for a sustainable future. Tune in to Climate Watch on your favorite podcast platform. Become more eco-conscious and take action to protect our planet.
Myanmar President Min Aung Hlaing is in Beijing for a state visit to China. The trip runs from Monday to Friday. Yo Young has more.
President of Myanmar Min Aung Hlaing began a 5-day state visit to China on Monday at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping. The visit runs from Monday to Friday and marks Min Aung Hlaing's first trip to China since assuming the presidency of Myanmar this April. And during his stay, Chinese President Xi Jinping will hold talks with him, and Chinese Premier Li Qiang and Zhao Leji, chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress, will also meet with him separately. Well, earlier the Chinese Foreign Ministry said through this visit, China looks forward to working with Myanmar actually to carry forward the traditional Purple friendship, a term meaning fraternal ties, and deepen the comprehensive strategic cooperative partnership and also achieve more tangible outcomes in building a China-Myanmar community with a shared future. Well, at the same time, this year marks the 76th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Myanmar. And according to data released by Chinese authorities, in fact, China has remained Myanmar's largest trading partner for many years, with the bilateral trade volume exceeding $19 billion last year, an increase of over 19% year-on-year. Well, the visit comes amid a series of high-level exchanges between the two sides, and those include actually Myanmar Foreign Minister Tin Meng-su's visit to Beijing earlier this month, and also Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to Myanmar in this April. And during his meeting with Wang Yi, President Min Aung said actually Myanmar's new government hopes to strengthen cooperation and coordination with China and enhancing high-level engagement with China, accelerating the development of the Myanmar-China Economic Corridor, and also enhance cooperation in safeguarding border peace and stability.
That was Yo Young reporting. Monday marks the 25th anniversary of the founding of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Belarusian Deputy Foreign Minister Igor Sekrida says the SCO is one of the most dynamic international organizations in the world.
It has been 2 years since Belarus became a full member of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Despite the short time, the Belarus has consistently fulfilled its obligations as a member state with a strong sense of responsibility. In my view, the SCO is one of the most dynamic international organizations in the world today. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that countries with vastly different comprehensive strengths, territorial sizes, and populations can coexist harmoniously, synergize, and benefit from this cooperation. Complementarity is a defining trait of the SCO, and also our shared achievement. Although our organization covers a vast area spanning several continents, we are always able to reach consensus. The continuous, efficient, and fruitful communication among our national leaders provides a solid guarantee for this.
Belarus officially became the 10th member of the SCO in 2024. The 10th China-South Asia Expo is underway in southwest China, bringing together representatives from countries across South and Southeast Asia. Laos, the special partner country at the event, Yang Jinghao spoke with the country's deputy prime minister to discuss growing cooperation with China.
As the special partner country of honor at this year's China-South Asia Expo, Laos has brought its largest ever high-level delegation to the event. What are the key highlights of Laos' participation this year, and how will they create new opportunities for cooperation between Laos and China?
This year, our participation goes beyond traditional agricultural and processed products. We are presenting a more comprehensive picture of Laos, including our development potential and industrial strengths. Located in the heart of Southeast Asia and sharing a border with China's Yunnan province, Laos enjoys a unique geographical advantage. This connectivity provides a solid foundation for expanding cooperation and enhancing regional linkages. At the same time, Laos is actively promoting development in key sectors such as agriculture, clean energy, and processing industries. Through this platform, we aim to showcase these opportunities, facilitate information exchange, and connect potential investors with local partners. To further improve the investment environment, Laos has been upgrading its investment policies and streamlining approval procedures, making it easier and more convenient for investors to do business in the country. In today's world, which is undergoing profound changes and facing multiple challenges, closer cooperation between Laos and China is more important than ever. We must strengthen solidarity, build greater mutual trust, and deepen cooperation to promote shared development.
As Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, how do you assess the role of the China-Laos Railway in supporting Laos' economic development? What measures has the Lao government taken to promote trade, investment, and business activity along the railway?
The Laos-China Railway has brought tangible benefits to both countries. and the Lao government attaches great importance to it. Although the railway has already achieved positive operational results, further improving its performance remains a shared goal of both sides. To this end, the Lao government is working to enhance facilitation measures in order to better leverage the full benefits of the railway. The Ministry of Finance is, in accordance with the investment promotion law, continuously advancing the implementation of relevant policies, including those supporting railway cooperation, while further improving measures in areas such as customs facilitation. Promoting industrial development along the railway is currently a key priority. While initial progress has been made, efforts will continue to deepen and expand these projects. This objective has also been clearly included in the second version of the action plan on building a China-Laos community with a shared future.
That was the Deputy Prime Minister of Laos on the country's growing cooperation with China. A Chinese-built hydropower station in Angola has started supplying electricity to rural communities. The project, under China Gejoba Group, is on the Kwanza River in Kwanza Norte province. It has a design capacity of over 2,100 megawatts and will generate an average of around 8,500 gigawatt hours of electricity each year. It'll help to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by around 7.2 million tons annually. The dam will also help with flood control. Construction began in 2017. The first generator is scheduled to connect to Angola's power grid by October. Once fully completed, it'll be Angola's largest hydropower facility and Africa's third largest. Speaking at the ceremony, the governor of Kwanza Norte said the project will bring clean energy, drive economic development, and strengthen Angola's energy security. Coming up, Ebola cases and deaths continue to rise in the DRC.
Pulse Plus, a selection of the best podcasts in China, covering history, customs, music, literature, and in-depth dialogues. Find your way to a wealth of Chinese culture and thinking, all on Pulse Plus.
The number of confirmed Ebola cases in the Democratic Republic of the Congo has surpassed 780, and that includes over 170 deaths. The country's health authorities say the outbreak has spread to 2 more health zones, bringing the total number of affected zones to 31. On Saturday, Ituri and North Kivu provinces reported 72 new confirmed cases, including 29 deaths. Around 360 patients are in isolation or hospitalized, while 40 patients have recovered. Frontline Ebola workers in the Democratic Republic of the Congo face the dual risks of contracting the virus and dealing with violent community pushback. The Red Cross's safe burial teams operate 24/7, handling infectious remains under rigorous rules, even as misinformation continues fueling public distrust. Authorities have deployed security forces to protect those health workers. David Mbithi has more.
Outside a hospital in Bunia, a team of Red Cross volunteers are suiting up for the burial of a suspected Ebola victim. These specialized responders are trained to handle highly infectious bodies under strict protocols to prevent contagion, placing them among the most exposed frontline workers of DRC's Ebola outbreak.
Normally the alert comes from the health zone, whether someone has died at the hospital or in the community. It is the health zone that alerts us because they have our toll-free number and we are sent into the field.
The team known as the Red Cross Safe and Dignified Burial Team first sanitize and prepare a coffin and place a body wrapped in a body bag inside and then deliver the coffin to a burial site. But it is not just the deadly virus that they need to be prepared to deal with. In recent weeks, the Red Cross has reported continuing attacks on its volunteers, including a June 1st incident that left 4 responders injured.
During the epidemic period, our activities always face resistance in the field. It happens often because there are people who understand and those who do not understand. So especially the people who do not understand are the ones who put up resistance in the field, saying things like, it is a way of making money and things like that.
Since then, authorities have begun deploying police and soldiers to ensure the safety of healthcare workers in cemeteries. Relatives must watch from a distance as Safari Isaac's team carries out the burial under strict safety measures. He says a majority of families are willing to embrace these necessary measures, but misinformation continues to fuel suspicion toward burial teams despite weeks of awareness campaigns. As the ambulance returns to the Red Cross office for disinfection, another alert could arrive at any moment as the region strains under the virus outbreak. But frontline workers hope the ongoing awareness campaigns will help overcome skepticism, secure more community support, and flatten the curve of transmission.
That was David Mbithi reporting. Alex Locke's a communication coordinator with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. He says resistance to safe and dignified burials persists despite weeks of awareness campaigning.
We have mobilized hundreds of volunteers who are currently on the field, even on Sunday. They are working 7 days a week. They are following very high standards in terms of handling the bodies, in terms of protecting themselves. But unfortunately, as you may already know, some incident may occur. We think that those incidents are fueled by misunderstanding, by fears, which we can understand, but putting in danger our volunteers who are there only to assist the community, not only put their life in danger, but also will maybe favorize the spreading of this virus.
Well, Locke adds that health workers are struggling to break the chain of transmission as misinformation has fueled community mistrust.
There are a lot of informations going through the social medias. I cannot mention all of them, but as you may already know, some people believe that if they go to the hospital, it is the place where they are going to be injected Ebola. Just to mention this example. There are a lot of other examples, people believing in kind of body parts traffics and things like that. We stand, even though we witness incident while performing our job, we stand with the community to help them, to share with them the right information so that everybody can understand this is a very crucial action we are putting. This is crucial actions we are putting in place.
We also urge more community engagement and dialogue to prevent misinformation about Ebola. Protesters have staged a demonstration in Geneva against the G7 summit in France in what they describe as an effort to resist fascism and imperialism. Swiss police had expected around 50,000 people to take part. The protests disrupted public transport with several trolleybus lines suspended and adjustments across other transport modes. The three-day G7 summit begins on Monday. Its members include the US, the UK, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and Japan. Sarah Coates has more on the security situation in France.
It is extremely tight. My colleague and I, we arrived yesterday from Paris, and even just a few stops away, let's say 100 kilometres, there were hundreds of police checking absolutely everyone. And when we came in to Evian, you could not even get off the train without proper credentials. Other things we've been seeing, many helicopters hovering in the sky above, police motorbikes, sirens, and we do know that also around 8,000 police have been deployed really to try and keep a firm grip on security situations here. There have also been sniffer dogs deployed and also bomb detecting robots. So certainly it is very, very difficult to move around just given this extreme police presence, but certainly it is needed given the significance of this event.
That was Sarah Coates reporting. 29 past the hour. Beijing, thunder showers overnight and tomorrow. The low is holding at 20. It's up to 29 on Tuesday. Shanghai will see a light rainfall tonight. It eases off to overcast tomorrow, a low of 22 and the high is 27. Chongqing will be overcast tonight and tomorrow, a low of 24 and a high of 32. Nanchang's cloudy this evening, overcast tomorrow, 23 degrees overnight, 31 tomorrow. Lhasa will be cloudy through tomorrow, a low of 14 and a high of 27. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad's cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a low of 26 and 38 degrees on Tuesday. Vientiane will have a light rainfall, becoming moderate tomorrow, low of 25 and a high of 33. It's time for a short break. So far this hour, the U.S. and Iran have confirmed reaching an agreement to end their conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The president of Myanmar is in Beijing for a state visit that'll run until Friday. And the number of confirmed Ebola cases in the DRC is now over 780 with 170 deaths. Shane Bigham with you. Stay with us here on the Beijing Hour.
From the refreshing cup of tea that starts your morning to the paper that you write on, the roots of many familiar parts of modern life can be traced back to ancient ideas. Join us on Made in Ancient China and discover how ideas born millennia ago became some of the world's greatest treasures. Made in Ancient China brings you stories of human ambition, inspiration, and connection. Now available on all major podcast platforms.
Shh, listen up. Can you hear the heartbeat of our world? It's vibrant and pulsating with the essence of life itself. From the stem of trees to the gurgle of rivers. From the silent strength of mountains to the icy whispers of glaciers. Even the solid ground beneath our feet. And right there, in the midst of all, beats the heart of humanity. What if those other heartbeats were to stop? Would ours keep on ticking?
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host.
Shane Bigham with you on this Monday. Still to come. In business, China's rolling out a 3-year action plan for saving energy and lowering carbon emissions. In sports, Germany's off to a powerful start at the World Cup. And in culture and entertainment, cross-strait cooperation in film and TV. To contact us, you can email radio@cgtn.com or follow our X account @CGTN Radio. You're also welcome to subscribe to our Substack newsletter, Beyond Beijing, for the world's biggest stories, along with sharp insights and exclusive analysis. Now a check of the day's headlines. Myanmar President Min Aung Hlaing's in Beijing for a state visit to China. The trip, running from Monday to Friday, is at the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping. Foreign ministers of China and Mongolia have issued a joint statement highlighting the synergy of development strategies and the expansion of cooperation. The two sides also reaffirmed mutual respect for each other's independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and chosen development paths, and their commitment to non-interference in each other's internal affairs. Mongolia reiterated its support for the One China principle and for the China's peaceful reunification. The two sides agreed to strengthen the alignment of their development strategies, advance projects under Belt and Road Cooperation and Mongolia's STEP Road program, and expand cooperation in various sectors. They agreed to maintain regular communication on international and regional affairs and oppose all forms of fascism and militarism. They added that the growing political and economic influence of multilateral systems such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, APEC, and BRICS has contributed to advancing regional cooperation. Chinese health authorities issued a public call for more voluntary blood donations on World Blood Donor Day, June 14th. Data shows that over 15 million people donate blood annually under China's voluntary system. Currently, all clinical blood now comes entirely from voluntary unpaid donations, with China ranking among world leaders in donation volume and blood safety. More than 3 million voluntary donors have been honored nationwide. To support steady growth, governments have introduced incentives. In several provinces, honored donors enjoy preferential policies such as free public transit, park access, and waived hospital registration fees. Donors also receive priority for transfusions in non-emergency cases. China's largest semi-submersible integrated fish farming platforms officially begun operation in Hainan province. Named Xinhuan No. 1, the platform in Sanya holds 64,000 cubic meters of water, equal to around 20 Olympic swimming pools. It can produce 4,000 tons of fish annually. The first batch of roughly 3 million fry is being released over 20 or 30 days. After about 10 months, the fish will reach over half a kilogram each and be ready for consumer tables. The platform uses a rotational stocking system to maintain optimal cage density and maximize yearly output. In addition to farming, the platform will support agriculture-tourism integration, including recreational fishing and sightseeing tours. Its general project manager says the platform raises 2 batches of fish per year, 2,000 tons each batch. He adds that while focusing on quality fish production, the platform's second line of business combines recreational fishing and sightseeing services. China's launched its first domestically developed intelligent welding robot system for marine engineering. Developed by the offshore oil engineering company, the system targets complex welding tasks on offshore oil and gas platforms. It has a 20-year lifespan, 30-ton load capacity, and fully domestic software. The robot uses AI for seam recognition and path planning, achieving over 98% first-pass qualification and 40% higher efficiency. An accompanying intelligent grinding robot improves efficiency on its task by 15%. After 10 months of testing, the system is now operational, supporting the marine energy sector's push for advanced productivity. Voters in Switzerland have rejected a nationwide referendum to cap the country's population at 10 million by 2050. Early results show almost 55% of people voted against the proposal. The outcome reflects a preference to maintain economic ties with the European Union over concerns about immigration and rising housing prices. The government urged voters to reject the cap proposed by the right-wing Swiss People's Party. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in business, China's rolling out a 3-year action plan for saving energy and lowering carbon emissions.
The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
Markets on the Chinese mainland closed higher on Monday. The Shanghai Composite was up around 1.6%. The Shenzhen Component surged nearly 3.8%. Component and telecommunications equipment shares were among the top gainers. Timothy Pope has more.
The announcements by both the US and Iran that they've agreed a framework MOU for ending the war really put the markets in probably one of the most optimistic places they've been in for the last couple of months, especially since it comes off the back of the successful SpaceX IPO last week. The news of a Middle East deal to be signed probably in Switzerland, probably on Friday, increased the risk appetite for the Chinese mainland investors. The Shanghai Composite's early gains were actually a bit tentative, but it closed 1.6% higher, just a shade below 4,100 points. The Shenzhen Component surged 3.8% by the close of trade, and the China Export added 5.3%. This was largely thanks to strong gains for tech stocks, chip companies and those in the AI sector in particular. There's some sentiment spillover, of course, from the SpaceX IPO last week, and also this step towards a proper peace deal has probably been seen as a green light, I think, for investors. A sub-index tracking AI stocks was up 5.7% in Shanghai, and the sector bellwether Capricorn added 7.6%.
In Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index increased around 0.5%. Japan's Nikkei climbed nearly 5%. South Korea's benchmark index also surged more than 5%. China's rolled out a 3-year action plan to accelerate energy saving and carbon reduction upgrades in key industries. The plan, jointly issued by the top economic regulator and several other government departments, focuses on 9 industries with high energy consumption and carbon emissions, including steel, oil refining, and coal-fired power generation. The country will implement energy saving and carbon reduction upgrades across these sectors starting this year. The goal is to enhance energy and carbon efficiency while significantly advancing the green and low-carbon development of these industries. The National Development and Reform Commission says the campaign aims to expand effective investment, promote industrial upgrading, and foster new drivers for green development. Yiwu's foreign trade is surging, further cementing the city's reputation as a global sourcing hub. In 2025, imports and exports of the world's largest wholesale market for small commodities surpassed 800 billion yuan for the first time, and that's around $118 billion. Yiwu has also moved up the value chain powered by the country's industrial strength. The city's business communities developed the ability to respond to market demand in an instant. It takes as little as 48 hours to turn an idea into a shelf-ready product. This rapid response, combined with sharp business acumen, allows the city to stand out as a benchmark in the fiercely competitive small commodities market. As Yiwu's commercial ecosystem evolves, competition among local businesses is shifting from price wars to innovation-driven contests, and that's led to a growing awareness of intellectual property. Well before the World Cup kicked off, many local businesses had already applied for overseas IP rights for their merchandise designs. And for more on Yiwu's development, Lincoln Humphreys spoke with Chen Jiahe, Chief Investment Officer at Novum Arcade Technologies.
So Yiwu's evolution from price-led competition to now innovation, branding, patents, it indicates a shift up that value chain. What does that reveal about China's more broader manufacturing upgrading model?
Well, this evolution of EU's industry shows us that how China's economy has been developing in the past many years. Initially, many companies and industries in China, including those in EU city, were engaging in the so-called price-led competitions. They produce things with mediocre qualities and they win their customers with very low prices. But this has led to a very low profit margin for the companies, and the competition can be very serious for these companies. But with the economic development, China has been investing more technologies, business management, and quality control into the manufacturing. Therefore, the quality of the products has been improved. The innovation and technologies have been broadly used. The brands have been built. Therefore, we can see that China's manufacturing is now having better and better reputation in the global market. The value adding has been increased, the profit has been rising, and the whole economy has been better developed. This shows the overall upgrading model of China's manufacturing.
In a period of supply chain diversification, EU is still said to account for 70% of global World Cup merchandise. What explains China's manufacturing resilience in terms of scale, productivity, the ecosystem effects and transaction costs?
Well, currently China's manufacturing is becoming more and more important in the global market. The scale is large, the productivity is high, and it is more and more relied by the global clients. This is because of many reasons. First of all, China's manufacturing is now much better developed. This means the productivity can be very high, the quality control can be much more perfect, and the price can be very competitive as Euro. For such a large scale of manufacturing, global clients can feel very comfortable when they are doing businesses with China's partners. The supply will be stable, the business will be guaranteed. Meanwhile, China has been continuously investing heavily into the technical improvement of its industries. Therefore, the quality has continuously been increased. The brand has been built up, and the products are gaining better reputation and more profit in the global market. Therefore, that's why the manufacturing of China is now having a very important position in the global economy.
That was Chen Jiehe with Nova Marquet Technologies talking about China's manufacturing through EWU's rapid development. The financial secretary of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government says Hong Kong's first five-year plan will foster economic development and boost employment. Paul Chan's remarks came as the two-month public consultation period for the blueprint starts on Monday. Chen says the plan will help the business community, companies, and residents develop a clear vision for the future. Tapping new markets and exploring new drivers for growth are key issues to be discussed in the public consultation. Enhancing coordinated development with other regions across the country is among the objectives of the plan. The financial secretary also says Hong Kong must further align rules and systems within the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area to facilitate the flow of various production factors. Workers have installed the dome on the Ningde Nuclear Power Plant Unit No. 5 in East China. The dome has a diameter of approximately 45 meters and a weight of over 270 metric tons, covering an area equivalent to 4 standard basketball courts. The unit's equipped with China's third-generation domestically developed Hlaing nuclear technologies and standards. In China, ports are increasingly becoming hubs for the exchange of technology, management expertise, and business partnerships. At a logistics conference in Yantai, industry representatives from around the world have gathered to discuss the future of shipping. Many are headed to the docks to witness firsthand how China's ports are evolving. Wang Tianyu has more.
At a logistics conference in the city of Yantai in eastern China, industry representatives from around the world gathered to discuss the future of breakbulk shipping. But the delegates didn't spend all their time in meeting rooms. Many headed to the docks to see how China's ports are evolving. For Chinese businesswoman Wang Xiangzhen, the attraction isn't the technology, it's the shipping route. Her company exports Chinese trucks to Guinea. Since 2024, it has been using the dedicated shipping service through Yantai.
It makes transportation much faster. Vessels bring bauxite from Guinea to China and then carry Chinese construction materials, infrastructure supplies, and engineering machinery back to Guinea. The route is efficient in both directions.
And some others are paying closer attention to how the port operates.
What impressed me a lot is in terms of digitization and the intelligent ports, where we have a lot of smart tally. It's one thing which I also saw here, which we are trying to introduce also in Kenya.
William Ruto's trip to Yantai followed another visit just days earlier. In Yancheng, a port city also in eastern China, he joined representatives from several maritime Silk Road countries for a port exchange program. One outcome was a new cooperation agreement between Yancheng Port and Indonesia's state-owned port operator.
We officially signed a friendly port cooperation agreement with Indonesia Port Corporation. The partnership will deepen cooperation in shipping and logistics, trade exchanges, port operations, as well as green and low-carbon development.
For many of the overseas delegates, the visit was as much about building connections as it was about moving goods.
That was Wang Tianyu reporting. China's commercial space sector has entered a fast growth phase as publicly listed companies reported revenue rebounds in the first quarter. Rocket and satellite prime contractors, along with core subsystem suppliers, have benefited from the bulk procurement demand unleashed by Constellation deployment, delivering revenues and profit growth. By the end of 2025, the number of commercial space enterprises in China surpassed 600. More than 10 companies in this sector are already pursuing IPOs this year. The valuation of China's commercial space sector has exceeded 1 trillion yuan. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in sports, Germany's off to a powerful start at the World Cup.
Sideline Story brings you all things sports related. The hottest topics, latest events, juiciest stories, all with a very personal take. Subscribe to Sideline Story Podcast for heated sports discussions covering events that are happening in China and around the world.
Now, turning to sports, Germany's made a powerful start to their 2026 FIFA World Cup campaign, sweeping past Curacao 7-1 in their Group E opener in Houston. The four-time world champions were in control for much of the match, taking a 3-1 lead at halftime after an early breakthrough from Felix and Mecha, a historic equalizer for Curacao from Levano Comenciana, and further goals from Nico Schlotterberg and Kai Havertz. Germany continued to dominate after the break, using their pace and attacking depth to extend their lead and seal a comfortable opening victory, finishing 7-1. After the match, Germany head coach Julian Nagelsmann praised his side's relentless approach.
We tried to find our lucky moments in the offense, tried to score more goals, and then we had a very important set piece to get the lead again. And then I think after the game there was a song, "The Train Has No Brakes." It's a German song. And we tried to do that, to move on, like with no brakes, and it was at least not that bad.
Well, despite the heavy defeat, Curacao coach Dick Advocat said reaching the World Cup was already a major achievement for his team.
Yes, in principle, I don't need to be afraid of that, because that's just in those players. But qualitatively, if you just compare them head to head, yes, Germany simply has a much better team than we do. Look, it's already amazing what we have done just to qualify. And we have to realize that. We just need to make it a beautiful tournament with maybe a surprise in the second or third match.
Germany takes 3 points from their opening match, while Curacao will look to regroup ahead of their next Group F fixture against Ecuador. And with more analysis on this, Young Guang joins us in studio now. Well, it was Curacao's first World Cup game ever. So what's your take on their debut performance against Germany?
Right, I watched the full game of Germany versus Curacao. Yes, the 7-1 result reflects the gap between the two sides. But what Curacao showed on the pitch goes beyond that scoreline. I didn't sense any nerves or panic from them, even though against Germany you would expect exactly that. They didn't play like a World Cup debutant. The players were not thinking, okay, it's Germany, we are the underdogs, let's sit back and park the bus. Instead, they were very confident in their movements. They had no hesitation to attack whenever opportunities came. And they did score a goal on the counter-attack to briefly equalize the match. Well, before the World Cup, Curaçao's captain said the team didn't come to lose, and in their very first match, Curaçao delivered on that mentality. They lost the game, yes, but they can hold their heads high.
Well, Japan showed its battling qualities to come from behind twice in a 2-all draw with three-time finalists the Netherlands in their Group F opener, and that was at Dallas Stadium. After a scoreless first half, the Netherlands threatened from the start in the second. Virgil van Dijk scored by heading back across the goal from Ryan Gravenberch. Japan is in its 8th straight World Cup. The team quickly leveled in the 57th minute with Keito Nakamura's deflected strike. It found its way into the bottom corner from Takefusa Kubo's cutback. Parity lasted 7 minutes as the Dutch reclaimed the lead with the West Ham United winger bending a perfectly placed left-footed strike. Japan sought to respond again, and its efforts paid off when substitute Koki Agawa's header was deflected by Daiichi Kamada, and that rewarded the Samurai Blue with a point from that 2-all draw. Netherlands coach Ronald Koeman reflected on a result that saw his side drop points despite leading twice.
Ja, is de standaard.
Yes, that's the standard. It's the minimum we want to achieve. And to advance further in the tournament, we need more than that. When you start the competition, of course, you want to win the first game, and that was also obvious because we were ahead twice. That didn't happen, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't good enough. I think there were plenty of positive moments in the game, so it can only get better.
Well, Netherlands will face Sweden, while 4-time Asian champions Japan take on Tunisia in their second Group F matches on Sunday. Yang Guang, 4 teams from the Asian Football Confederation have appeared in the World Cup so far, and all of them remain unbeaten. What does that tell us about the momentum of Asian football?
Yes, Asian football is definitely on the positive ride so far at this World Cup. What stands out to me is that the opponents Asian teams have either beaten or drawn with are all European sides. South Korea came from behind to defeat the Czech Republic. Japan held the Netherlands to a draw. Australia's 2-0 win against Turkey was quite also unexpected, especially given that Turkey's squad is worth 6 times as much as Australia's. And Qatar finally earned its first World Cup point with the last-minute draw against Switzerland. Yes, there was a bit of luck and some chaos, but Asian teams have shown they can no longer be underestimated. They are no longer absolute underdogs. In fact, this is a part of a consistent trend. 4 years ago, the only match eventual champion Argentina lost was against Saudi Arabia. Remember, back in 2002, Saudi Arabia was still a side that was thrashed 8-0 by Germany. And in recent editions, South Korea and Japan have both beaten European powerhouses like Germany and Spain. If those were isolated highlights this time, Asian sides have grown as a group. They are ready for some breakthroughs.
All right, thank you very much. You're listening to the Beijing Hour. Coming up in culture and entertainment, cross-strait cooperation in film and TV.
From north to south, east to west, people in China are chasing their dreams and leaving their mark. Want to know how they beat the odds and made a difference? Footprints brings you the true life stories of their journeys.
In culture and entertainment, amid a global slowdown in the film and television industry, cross-strait cultural cooperation is seeing a resurgence in 2026. Popular productions from both sides of the Taiwan Strait are finding new audiences, while new Chinese mainland policies are opening the door for deeper industry collaboration. Zheng Yibing reports from the Straits Forum, currently underway in Xiamen.
Why is cross-strait film and television cooperation gaining momentum again? After years of headwinds, audiences, creators, and policymakers are helping drive the new wave of collaboration across the Taiwan Strait. This year marks the key turning point. In April, the mainland introduced new measures to support the cross-strait cooperation in film, television, and microdramas. The new policies ease restrictions on broadcasting, co-productions, and short-form content creation. At the Straits Forum, industry leaders from Taiwan shared their views on the opportunities ahead.
The phenomenal success of the mainland film Diryu has inspired the industry. It shows that great storytelling comes from genuine local experiences and human warmth, not star-studded casts or massive budgets.
That view is shared by the creators behind one of the most enduring cross-strait cultural productions centered around Futian's traditional bluff puppetry.
We have long planned to adapt more than 80 classic IPs into microdramas, animation, and related content. With the new policies, we're confident about launching cross-strait co-productions and original projects based in Xiamen.
Veteran producer Lai Tongpi says greater policy support is also accelerating technology-driven industry upgrades.
Integrating artificial intelligence, generated content, and other emerging technologies can reduce costs, improve efficiency, and raise production quality, strengthening the global competitiveness of Chinese language content.
Young creators are also bringing fresh energy to cross-strait cultural exchanges.
From a Gen Z perspective, we document our shared cultural heritage and the bonds between people on both sides of the strait. That makes creative collaboration especially meaningful.
New models of cooperation are also taking shape. Director Huang Chaoliang is filming a new project in Kinmen. Leveraging Kinmen's proximity to Xiamen, he hopes to create a new platform for cross-strait collaboration, enabling closer exchanges of talent, resources, and projects.
That was Zheng Yibing reporting. Shanghai is advancing a full-chain AI film ecosystem that integrates computing power, data models, and real-world applications. The ecosystem is driving the integration of Film Plus technology at the Shanghai Science and Technology Film City. At a workshop during this year's Shanghai International Film Festival, industry staff demonstrated how AI-powered virtual production can dramatically speed up filmmaking. A scene of a character flying on a sword, which once took hours or even days to produce, can now be completed in just 10 minutes using green screen and virtual studio technology. Marketing director Wang Yi from a Shanghai-based virtual production technology company explains how it works.
Our new AI workflow can bypass the tedious process of creating 3D assets. We only need a simple white model to position the actor within the scene. Then AI takes care of everything, including integration of light and shadows, computer-generated visual effects, and traditional manual production, dramatically improving efficiency.
The Film City in Songjiang District now hosts more than 8,000 film and TV enterprises, forming a growing AI-driven production hub. We're at 57 past the hour. Beijing can expect some thunder showers overnight, continuing through tomorrow with a low of 20 and it's up to 29 degrees on Tuesday. Shanghai will see a light rainfall this evening, easing off to overcast tomorrow, a low of 22 and a high of 27. Chongqing will see overcast conditions for tonight and tomorrow, a low of 24 and a high of 32. Nanchang's cloudy this evening, overcast tomorrow, a low of 23 and a high of 31. Lhasa will be cloudy tonight and tomorrow, down to 14. Up to 27. Elsewhere in Asia, Islamabad will be cloudy tonight and tomorrow, a low of 26 and a high of 38 degrees on Tuesday. And that's it for this edition of the Beijing Hour. Making news today, the U.S. and Iran have confirmed reaching an agreement to end their conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. And the president of Myanmar is in Beijing for a state visit that'll run until Friday. On behalf of the staff, this is Shane Bigham in the Chinese capital, hoping you'll join us for the next edition of the Beijing Hour and open a window to the world together.
Find the Beijing Hour at precisely 6 p.m. Beijing time. We meet you on podcast and on air every weekday. The Beijing Hour, your window on China and the rest of the world.
He can't live without the Yellow River in his eyes.
The Yellow River is so noble and elegant.
Both my grandpa and dad made a living from the river.
Would you like to move away from the Yellow River?
I don't think I will. I love it so much.
The Yellow River, the second longest river in China, is regarded as a shaping force in the history, economy, and culture of northern China. Today, about 100 million people live within its water basin, making up nearly 9% of the country's population. How is climate change felt at its headwaters, and what are the locals doing to cope with it? What are the descendants of the boatmen doing? What has kept some people from leaving their home village by the river, and what has drawn others back? Could the fading fishing community revive in the time of digital transformation? From 2021 to 2024, our reporters visited the upper, middle, and lower reaches of the Yellow River talk to the herders, farmers, boatmen, fishermen, and eco-activists who share a close bond with the river, and present their stories in pictures, podcasts, and videos, all in our 12-part series, The Yellow River Mosaic, available only on CGTN Radio.